We got a special topic tonight. Discussing Charleston white, hip hop, and street culture. Smash that like button. Drop in the comments. Let us know where you coming in. Drop the link a little later on for anybody who wants to join the conversation. Getting deep tonight, we going there. We'll be starting. Once again, welcome you all to the Church of Heathens, where everybody is welcome. No one's too far off for the grace of God. You feel that? If this is your first time joining, you're in for a treat. I appreciate you for coming through to spend your time with me. Got a familiar guest, my brother King Smitty, helping me navigate this conversation tonight. See the topic on the flyer: Charleston white, hip hop, and street culture. We're diving all the way into it. Just 2 minutes away. Tell a friend, tell a friend. Share, hit that like button. Let me know your name, where you calling in from in the comments. We'll get it popping very shortly. Grace and blessings. Smitty active in the chat already. All we need is one. Once again, I want to welcome you to the Church of Heathens, where everybody is welcome. We got an amazing topic tonight. Diving in with my bro King Smitty on Charleston white, hip hop, and street culture. We got to keep it raw today. This is a message to Black America. No matter how you feel, let's come out of this hill. We breaking curses tonight, baby. The countdown begins.
me Driscoll, aka Jesus Peace. Spitting scriptures that's in red, making Jesus speak. If you get that through your head, what your demons seek. It's the blood that these vampires need to drink, that bring the dead back to life, make it seem discreet. Man, these lives getting touched, I redeem the streets. Hit you deeper than that crack that these fiends can't beat. It's the dawn of the dead, quarantine the streets. For the goons with AKs, ARs, strapped up like they made for war. I speak for those with no voices, while my words cut like a ninja sword. So much spirit up on each verse that you ain't gotta go to church just to hear the Lord. Make your soul rain at the inner core. It's the blood game that we living for. Make you hold your pain or you sin no more. What we out here trying to be bitter for? To reflect the pain from the inner war. That's the bigger war we used to give us, Lord. Let's party, get turned, and don't let haters stop your thunder. Tell your DJ that Driscoll got the club locked this summer. What's up?
Amen, amen. Welcome again to the Church of Heathens. I got my boy Smitty with me. Me introducing him here shortly. We're going to dive into Charleston white hip hop and street culture. Let's hop in these comments. We want to hear y'all opinions. We're going to drop the link later on to hear what y'all got to say if you want to call in. And without further ado, let's get right into this. Smitty, what's up, bro?
What is popping? Happy New Year, brother. Happy New Year.
Man, it's a pleasure having you here again. Happy New Year.
Always a pleasure to be here, man. Always.
Me and Smitty did a show a couple years back during the pandemic, so he's probably going to be a regular guest on here, so get used to seeing his face. And yeah, let's get right into it, man. Real quick, let's do a prayer before we hop into this. Heavenly Father, we thank you for this opportunity to come together as a fellowship amongst my fellow heathens all across America and the world, wherever we are, wherever we lay, whatever issues we may deal with, whatever problems we may face. We pray that this live will be a curse breaker for each and every one of us. Help us to see differently, to think differently, to hear one another's opinions and views with love and understanding. In Jesus' name, we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Amen. So what's on your mind, bro? What's your New Year plans looking like?
Bro, actually what I plan on doing, bro, is getting into this trucking thing, bro, and then kind of sharing my view of the world, and then also talking to people about what we about to talk about today, the cultural shift and that needs to take place. Time for us to start living life and stop living in death.
Living life and stop living in death. And who do you feel is living in death? Because you said us. Do you feel like that's a majority of people?
I feel like a lot of people are because of what's glorified. We're talking about the culture. I feel as though the culture in which we're looking at on a day-to-day basis, because we got the world star hip hops that's popping off that makes things wildly famous. We have fight culture, we have gun culture, we have gangster rap and things of that nature. And it's like, what do we have that is giving life to other people? Who's out here giving life out?
I could definitely feel you on that. Okay. Well, there's so many ways to look at that when it comes to our culture. Let's just get right into it. If you don't know who Charleston White is, we're going to give you a short clip of him speaking right now so you can get an understanding of where he connects with this entire conversation, because otherwise this could totally get lost before we even start. So yeah, let's get right into that. Can you see my screen?
Yes, sir.
Let's get it.
Every nigga in the community, in the hood, toting a gun, his bullet is for another nigga. When he loading a gun,
Lost the audio.
a target is gonna be. toting a
We got
gun.
audio
His
back?
bullet is for another.
Yeah, I think when you mute your mic, I think it mutes
He
your
thinking about
audio.
killing another
Gotcha.
nigga. When he put it in his pants pocket, he hollering about this is for a nigga. He never think to pull that trigger and the target is gonna be a white face. No nigga, he don't even dream of that. It's a nightmare. If a nigga dream of killing the white man, he wake up in the night, bro. It's who, thank you, Lord, I thought I killed the white man. But he'll fantasize and dream about killing a nigga all day long.
Do you support Black Lives Matter?
No, I do not support Black Lives Matter. I ain't fought in one bitch, let alone 3 gay bitches nowhere. And that ain't to disrespect the gay culture. I just think the man is supposed to lead. And Black Lives Matter, they don't fight a nigga that's getting mistreated by the child support system. They ain't showing up when a nigga going to court with the injustices of the court system. They wait to a ragged ass nigga like George Floyd, Mike Brown, Trayvon Martin, little disrespect fast. They wait till people like that get killed, right? Police ain't never shot a nigga with his degree cap on. You ain't never seen the police kill a nigga with a pair of work boots. Every nigga in the community, in the hood, toting a gun, his bullet is for another nigga.
So let's hold it there. He said a lot. What's your thoughts off back? And then I want to break down certain things that he said after you give your vague thoughts.
It would be, where would the lie be in that? Where would the lie be? Of course, those words, it breaks, it messes with people's golden calves, because people idolize those things. And when you start attacking somebody's golden calf, you get attacked like how he got attacked. Because what ends up happening when he says things like that is that culture ends up saying, hey, if I ever see you in the streets, your neck.
Yeah. I can relate.
And that says more about the culture than it does about him.
Right. No, you're right. I've been threatened. I've been told that my family should all die and all kind of crazy stuff for somebody just for me minding my own business and posting my political affiliation. It wasn't even like nothing. I wasn't even talking to the man. It had nothing to do with him, so I can definitely relate to what you're saying. More specifically, they asked him, does he support BLM? And I don't know if you recall his reasons, but he said, for one, he believes a man should lead. He ain't following no females anywhere in the first place, much less a bunch of dykes.
Yeah.
How you feel about that? Are there areas where it is necessary for women to lead? If they're the ones that started this movement, should that be a deterrent for us?
Well, in that, I jump biblically, and we can jump into Titus. So what are the roles that women are supposed to play in affecting the culture? Women are supposed to teach other women. Okay. Women are other women's leaders or whatever, and men are men's leaders. And then, like, I am not to tell your wife what to do. That's your job as a leader.
Okay.
And then if me and you are sitting down having a council between other men, then that's our job to come together and hold conversation in order to figure out how to better run our homes and our culture. But women teach women. That's just it. And I don't mean it on a misogynistic basis or anything of that nature, because I'm not saying that women shouldn't have a right to say about anything. But is my wife my leader? No.
Right. So you said you're not trying to say it in a misogynistic way. Why'd you feel the need to clarify that? What could be misogynistic about you saying women shouldn't lead men?
There's nothing misogynistic about it at all. It's just the idea of other people looking at it as misogynistic. Looking at it's like, hey, you find strength in me, go ahead and find the strength in me that is there. But it's like when you say that to other people, they take like, hey, I can carry your burdens for you. Come put some of these burdens on me. And then they're like, no, we don't need you for that. We don't need you for that. We don't need men for that. We don't need you to carry our burdens for us.
Right.
We don't need your leadership. And there's a good question, because it's just like, well, what world do you live in to where you don't need our leadership?
Well, the irony in that is that now, it's getting tired that they understand they need our leadership. They just don't want it in the home. They want to utilize outside men
to their advantage and then not have to actually cooperate one within the home.
And then
they're still going to use the plumber. They're still going to use the mechanic. They're going to use men. They just don't want to have to live and agree with one.
Yeah, and that doesn't make any sense. Those ideas are antithetical.
Right.
So
why is that enough though to cause you, if you agree with him, to not support BLM?
Well, in our show in the past on End Time Soldiers over there, but when I talked about BLM, I said BLM was the Black KKK. If you remember, whole clip. And I'm pretty sure there was some outrage about it, but that's just what it is. Reverse racism won't fix anything. The ideal to fix community is generally you changing yourself. I hear this all the time, and this upsets me largely, is I am a product of my environment.
Yeah.
So you can never ever be anything other than what you were raised in.
Right.
And that's just something to think about.
I mean, if you're a product of your environment, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Are you only that?
Oh no, I don't think so.
I don't think society shows that at large, though.
Yeah, I think you're a product of your choices.
Large. There you go.
Now,
there you go.
Does your environment impact your willingness or your wherewithal to make sound decisions? Probably. That's the difficulty in that, but at some point, it's still on you. Too many people have found a way to conquer that.
The fair way to kind of put that is oftentimes you won't be what you don't see. But the crazy part about it is we live in a technological society to where we can see what rich looks like. We can see what prosperity looks like. We can see what a difference looks like. But what ends up happening is people look at a certain demographic of people, and then they look at that demographic of people, and they're like, well, because I'm this color, the only way I'm going to get out of this situation is via sports, via it be entertainment, via it be street violence.
Yeah. Those are the three avenues.
Yeah.
That's that you just summed up Black culture in itself right there. And everybody that exists outside of that is a sellout. But yeah, let me read this real quick. Family Value says selfish. They want the protection of men without giving them the authority they need to properly protect them. They don't want to be guided, just protected. Would you say that's accurate?
That's beyond accurate. That's what we call the truth.
So it's so grounded in truth that this is a reality in Christianity.
Yeah.
This is not a world standard thing. This is globally an issue now, except maybe in the third world area where they need men because they don't have the resources to not need them.
Andrew Tate said this recently in a video that I seen, and I don't want to veer too far off the rails with this, but he says, just to give you the way that I win arguments on the internet is because I say things that are true, but people are afraid to argue them. So he's like, I'll say women are weak on the internet. Not necessarily saying that they're weak in general, but they'll say it in a stance of a man is physically stronger than a woman. And they'll argue that point, emotionally argue that point.
That's so true. Kel just chimed in and said, peer pressure. We don't understand as adolescents to have that thick skin to pursue what's really good for us. So we cave and conform to what is socially acceptable. Kel, you got to come on, bro. I dropped the link. Click that link and get in here because you just dropped something profound. And that's real. I think most of us can relate to that at some point in our lives, unfortunately. I even talked about it. I even talked about it yesterday, the show I did with the wife, where I paid for a whole abortion. That wasn't my kid, knowing how I feel about it, because I felt the pressure from this friend that I felt like I owed this to. And it plagued me my whole life, knowing that I did that just because it was against my values. It wasn't something I believed in. It's, it's one thing if you believe that something's okay and do it, but when you know it's wrong and you do it just to please people, that to me, that's weighed on me as a man my entire life.
That's deviation from truth, though. You know what I mean? Like when you do things to be accepted societally, it's almost like you lose a little bit of yourself. The more that you chase to please society, the more of yourself you lose. And then it's just like when you look out the window, what do you see now? And growing up in the 90s, like 2023, 2022, 2021, like it doesn't even look close.
Right.
And that's when people, like in the 90s, people literally tried to drought themselves in truth. Like to the point to where you couldn't just say any type of regular BS. I feel like a girl.
Oh no, bro. That's one thing I love to talk about. People don't realize, especially the young generation, Gen Z, have no idea. Like, I DJ. And I catch myself DJing places around Gen Z, and it blows my mind to realize how old I am. Like the things that were hits when we were growing up, they got to look at the screen to see who's on the video. Like they have no clue. And so it's really setting in how important it is for us to reach that generation. And not necessarily saying we got all the answers, but just to be able to share the wisdom we do have from our mistakes and experiences, but also understand life as they know it, because it's completely different for them. Because we grew up in a time, like you said, gay marriage wasn't a discussion.
Yeah.
Now, if you say you don't agree with it, you're a bigot.
Yeah, you're shunned.
Bro, that was not even like, it was not common to think that that was okay in the 90s. So it's just crazy to see how far that we've come, to the point where now, I mean, it's such a norm that people having to go to the Supreme Court over just not wanting to make a cake for a gay couple.
Yeah. And the detachment runs deep. And just like even like combining this, it's like Kevin Samuels exists, but Kevin Samuels really never said anything new.
No.
He just pointed out the fact that things aren't the way that they used to be. Yeah. Charleston White isn't saying anything new. It's crazy now because we live in this time to where things were common, they're now blurred.
Right. That's a fact. And that's the thing. It's these people who grew up in that generation speaking the realities that they knew to exist prior to us getting away from our values. So it seems new, but really the way we're living today is new.
Yeah. That's an absolute fact, because the conversation isn't even the same. It's like you start saying the truth, bro. Do you know how often I find myself defending the truth?
Yeah, bro.
Defending the truth. And then there's this new thing that exists because it's not the truth anymore. It's my truth. It's your truth. It's their truth.
Boy, you preaching right now. That my truth stuff is for the birds. I ain't gonna lie to you.
And then we can even use it to this context. It's like even people who necessarily believe in, like, say yes, your faith is more in science. Right. You are not even in line with that, because biology existed far before gender theory ever existed.
I like to get at too is like the concepts of even the not needing a man and all of that nonsense is just like, could you imagine this kind of communication 1,000 years ago? Like it wouldn't even be entertained. They're not even going, you know what I mean? That it's not even worth debating. Let me bring up this brother that just hopped in. Double A Hef. What's up with you, my man?
What's up, Driscoll? Thanks for having me.
Oh, man,
how's it going, Smitty? Happy New Year to both of y'all brothers.
Yes, sir. Happy New Year to
What's
you.
going on, bro? Happy New Year.
I'm very happy to see a space where brothers can actually speak the truth.
Yes.
The objective truth. What Smitty was just touching on is something that I speak about often on my podcast. All you hear nowadays, like he literally just said, my truth. Well, that's not my truth. Well, you know what? It's funny because the truth doesn't work like that.
It doesn't. It doesn't.
You know, no one wants to have an objective mind nowadays, and it's literally, you know, riding out our quote unquote community.
Wow. That's deep, man. What's your thoughts on Charleston White? Are you familiar with him?
Yeah, actually, I'm very familiar with him. It's funny you guys are speaking about him because my co-host on my podcast, he asked me to do an episode on Charleston, and I was like, no, I don't really, you know, it wasn't really something I wanted to speak about because, you know, I think Charleston, like everyone has a role, everyone plays a part, and I think Charleston, you know, he knows his role and he's playing his part. He says some things that may come across as profound here and there, but ultimately, at the end of the day, you know, what solutions is he coming up with for the quote unquote black community? And that's why I like your channel. I just came on to you, Driscoll, about like a week ago. And what you're saying is like lockstep and what I believe is the only way that the quote unquote black community is actually going to have a you know 180 degree turn. Because if you're not going to address the family, then that's it. You know, my message on my channel has been and will forever be until we remedy this, is that you cannot fix the black quote unquote community until you restore the black man as the head. You know, we have these government programs to help single mothers, you know, to help kids after school programs. And people say, oh, my God, that's great. That's great. It's great for the kids. It's great for these mothers and stuff like that. No, it's not. All it does is keep us right where we are. Right. You know, like, but they get people to vote on those topics. They say, hey, you want more money? You want to be subsidized? That's all it is. And they fall for it. They go for it because she get to say, I'm independent. She get to go out, put on her pumps, you know what I'm saying, looking, you know, as best she can, black girl magic, doing her thing. And, you know, that's it. She don't have to, you know.
Suffering through it all.
Yeah, it's crazy. You know, we live in a crazy time right now, brothers.
I agree with you 100%. A book that I would suggest that everybody reads is Color, Communism, and Common Sense.
I have that. Oh my God, brother. I'm doing the whole docu-series on that book, my man. Oh my God. Sorry to cut you off, but it's funny you brought it up, man.
Be on your channel?
Oh yeah, it's gonna be on my channel, yeah.
Cool.
And it's who are you dependent upon? You know, I find this like extremely weird to see like the black community complain about the system so much, but yet they depend on the system so much, and then they expect like this 180. It doesn't happen there. It doesn't happen there. Like change doesn't happen on a governmental level. It happens on a family level and on a community level.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why I really kind of like, you know, everything that Charleston White says isn't like something that I'm completely, you know, in totality in agreement with or whatever, but it's just kind of like, well, who is your idol? Mm-hmm. And he's literally talking to people. He's like, yo, these celebrities are your golden calves. And in him showing that, it's breaking things. It's breaking people's minds because people are literally getting on their cameras and talking to him on Instagram with their guns in the cameras, pointing their guns at the cameras. And I'm like, yo, do you think that shows strength or the inability to control yourself?
It shows a dummy. That's all that shows.
Yeah.
So Hef, are you married? You got children?
I am. I am married. I have a 18-year-old son. Okay. And tomorrow at noon, I'm going to have my first daughter.
Congrats. Hey, congrats, bro. My daughter just turned 18 on New Year's Eve, bro. So
congrats, bro. That's a beautiful thing, man.
Yeah, bro. Love to see it, man.
That's a part of life I ain't experienced yet is the adult children. So, man. I hope God grace me through that one, boy. So what's your thoughts then on the child support system briefly?
Briefly, the child support system is a hack. it boils down to this: whatever constructs there are that don't promote families being together, that's the issue already. We don't have to go much further than that. Is it going to bring families together or keep them apart? And child support is going to keep them apart. Money cannot replace, the biological father. Money cannot replace the biological mother. But I speak to the men. My channel is mainly, my demographic is 99% men. So that's who I'm talking to, because that's how we're going to solve our issues, through the man. The devil works through the woman.
Could you link me back chat too?
Oh yeah, for sure. But yeah,
you're right, bro. I mean, that's point blank. Period. I think the issue for me, and I don't really have an issue because I don't have a dog in the fight. I've never paid child support, but it's just now the culture is just so screwed that it's like, what do we look like tomorrow if they cancel child support?
Oh man, that's a good question.
It goes down, but then what eventually ends up happening is better choices have to happen in the future.
Agreed.
So then you have to go back and depend upon the love and the trust of the man in order to hold down your household, instead of these pussy hat feminists that exist.
So you're talking 50, 60 years of Hunger Games though, bro.
I mean, well, with the child support shit, it's like, it's not as though Hunger Games isn't happening now. It's still happening. You just have you have a little bit of money tossed in your pocket, in which the government is taking the top off of that.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think to add to that, in the beginning, there's definitely going to be, some growing pains for sure. And there may even be a generation lost, right? And we'll have to, look at ourselves and say, well, was this the right choice? And I think ultimately we'll look back and say it was the right choice, because we were losing generations anyway.
Right. Real rap. Well, we did a conversation on that. We did a panel recently, and we're doing another one this Friday with a bigger panel. So tune in for that. You're welcome to call in too for that if you're free. I don't know how much time you got. We about to get into the next video. If you want to stick around, you can. But if not, please at least leave me with your channel in the back chat so I can put that out to the
For sure. I'll stick around. I got probably a couple more minutes before I gotta finish packing the hospital bag. Yeah, let's do this. I'm trying to get the link, but it's not. I don't know why it's not pasting.
Well, you can't post it in the YouTube chat because they're not gonna let you. You gotta
post it on the. Okay.
So
I got the video. I got.
I was gonna ask you if you can go ahead and bring that video up.
All right.
While he does that. And once again, if you're just tuning in, we want to welcome you to Church of Heathens, where we are inviting each and every person from no matter where you are in life to come together, dialogue, and try to find some common ground. We got my brother Smitty here as a guest. Also, we are featuring Double A Hef. He's about to give us his channel here shortly for y'all to check him out and embark on further conversations that he has to bring to the table. The link is in the chat if anybody wants to join. I'm also about to post his right now. And what's your channel called? Is it called Double A Hef?
Yeah, it's called Double A Hef, and the show is called The True Scope.
Okay.
Thank you, brother. I appreciate it.
Oh, no problem, man. Appreciate you.
Let me know when you ready for me to start it.
Oh yeah, you can do your thing now.
All right.
The gangbanger, right? When you go on a mission, you might, when you looking for your so-called enemy, you driving through a different hood down the street. It's an invisible line. You cross this street, now you in another hood, and you hunt. And when you looking, you gonna pass up the dude that's dressed square, right? You gonna pass up a dude from a different race. When you see somebody that's dressed like you dress, and got the walk like you got, and got the body language like you gonna say, there you go, get him. And that's deep. Whew. You know what I'm saying? When you really unpack that. That's crazy. You know what I'm saying? You looking for yourself just on the other side of town. And you gonna hop out and attack him and try to down him in a real way. As a gangbanger, right? When you go on.
So much in that, bro. My man said you pretty much looking for yourself as a gangbanger to destroy the brother who looks like you. How do we get to this place in our culture, man? Do we just blame the rap music? Is it just family? Is there anything we can do to change it for the here and now? Because we know the family is a long game.
In totality, it's kind of hard to pinpoint it. I would go back to our original thing, which would be the lack of fathers in the home. And that's a whole, like, that's a rabbit hole to chase down, because like when we were talking about the child support game or whatever, or if you look at, say, Kevin Samuels videos and things of that nature, who's leaving the home? Are fathers leaving their children? Are women keeping children away from their fathers? But it's still a family issue at the end of it all.
And see, this is the thing for me. I try to be balanced. I know women are leaving marriages at the highest rate. With that said, most of these kids out here, especially in the Black community, are born outside of marriage in the first place.
Mm-hmm.
There was no marriage to leave. So I don't even understand why we don't get that part right compared to every other race. Like, we are at the bottom when it comes to that. And then even though the things that he just talked about, that Nipsey was talking about, I don't hear white people talking like that on a large scale. I don't hear it being popularized in the white culture to walk around hunting in neighborhoods for people that look like them to beat up and destroy.
I don't think that people conceptualize it on that level, though. Like, I don't think that when a person is in the middle of going to go murder somebody in a Black community, that person doesn't look at that person like, I'm about to go murder me. I
never heard it that way. That was the first time I heard it.
Yeah, like, I'm about to go put a bullet in somebody who looks similar to me, who possibly thinks more so like me than anybody else on this planet, but he gotta go. If you didn't know this, and those in the audience who didn't know this, one thing that Charleston White talks about in his clips or in his videos, he talks about why he went to prison.
Mm-hmm.
Charleston White went to prison for killing a white dude.
Mm-hmm.
And that's one thing people got to understand, because everybody attacking him and they making him the snitch of the Black community now and this and that. And I'm like, well, listen, one thing I will say, with all the BLM and all the white man this, the white man that, y'all ain't got that kind of energy for the people you calling the enemy.
Mm-hmm. No, they don't, because that's the people that they want the hug from. They want that hug, you know. So to bring it back to what your first question about the marriage part, I think that goes hand in hand with the child support thing. You know, people aren't getting married because I don't have to marry this nigga, because I'm going to get my money from this nigga one way or another.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So why marry him? I don't have to marry him. You know, y'all know how it is. I'm from Brooklyn, right? So, and I got family members like this. Got plenty of different baby daddies. Every couple years or so, have another baby just to elongate, because she ain't working. She don't plan on working. She's not going to work. Her whole life is going to be, yeah, I got money from the government, so I got to keep these kids coming. Not what's best for the kids, but what's best for me.
And you're saying there's no father involved in that situation?
Oh, no, because a lot of the issue with our brothers is that a lot of them, most of them, not all, but most, don't think, period. They don't think. Like Smitty, like you, Driscoll, myself, people that gravitate towards our channels, they think, and they can put it together. They're going to say, you know what? Hey, you know, before I have a child, I should probably, you know, get married. You know, my wife should bear my children, you know? And then if you do it that way, and you vet this woman, and you know she's a godly woman, she has her head on straight, she wants to be a wife, she wants to be a mother, she knows what those two things mean, what they are. Okay, then you're setting yourself up and your family for great gains. Now, if you just go and shooting up the club, hey, brother, you got you to blame. When she dragged you through the white man's court system and all of that stuff, well, child support this and that, trying to keep me down. No, nigga, nah, you kept yourself down.
Got it.
And that would be one of many issues that I would have for like red pill community content. You know what I mean? Because they are generally teaching men, hey, don't ever get married. Don't ever start a family. Go out here and
Horrible advice. Horrible.
yeah, and live your life willy-nilly or whatever. It's like when you think about it, these contracts exist for a reason. They exist for a reason. You know what I mean? And I gotta condone you, bro, because I did not know you were from NY, and you live in a mad state that thinks entirely differently than what you are a minority for real where you live at, bro. So
Yes.
I know you get pushed back on every idea you ever put out. But
yeah. From family too.
Yeah, I gotta give you your kudos on that. To do that in NY, bro.
Family one.
Yeah.
Thank you, brother. Appreciate it.
Yeah.
Much love to you, bro. Much love.
Yeah, I want to get Kel in here, man, but he just touched on so much stuff.
Hell in here.
Yeah.
Can y'all hear me?
Yeah. You here, man? What's up, bro? Appreciate you coming on.
What's going on? What's going on?
How? What do you think is wrong with our mindset as black men? How have you been able to make it to your 30s without a kid out of wedlock?
By the grace of God, to be honest, I'm supposed to have two.
Okay.
Supposed to have two, but the chick I was dealing with out of wedlock, she miscarried twice.
Oh wow.
Yeah. So,
and I think that's an important part to recognize here in the Church of Heathens is that a lot of us ain't just make the best decisions. We got lucky.
bro.
If we all the way honest. So that is a factor.
I'm keeping it 100, bro. 100 beginning me and where I'm at right now, bro. It's like, hey, I know God got me cloaked. You know what I mean?
100.
So, but go ahead. I ain't trying to cut you off, Caleb.
Yeah. So are you familiar with Charleston White?
Yeah, I'm familiar with him. I've seen a couple posts with it.
What's
And I think the thing is that no matter how truth comes out, truth is truth. It's hard to argue truth when you're in the truth. And people are arguing more so the delivery and how they feel. It's self-feel because they can't deny the words that are said.
Accurate. That's all they got is to argue.
That's all you got to argue. So when guys like us, when we think, because most of us, we're listening to where they're coming from. What do these words mean?
Right.
It's self-fear. Whereas the other parts, they're listening, well, he said it like this, and I feel there's a difference between I feel and I think.
True.
So most people are going to say they feel because they haven't thought.
I think the negativity that he's getting really highlights how gone we are as a community, in my opinion. Because like the other two brothers said, of course we don't agree with everything it says or his delivery half of the time.
Right.
But most of what he's saying should be basic foundational truths. I don't even think they're that profound. So the fact that we're so bewildered in the black community by him, and I mean the fact that they're calling this 50-something-year-old grown man a snitch, it's like, yo, what are we doing out here? Because the bro is calling out the hypocrisy in hip hop. He's calling out the fact that these rappers are convincing our children that this is what popping is while they going home to they married husband, wife, and they children. Not living that life. Boozy said himself, you can't be a street nigga and a rapper at the same time. It don't exist. So why are y'all mad at this man for telling the bold, blatant truth? Is just beyond me, bro.
I think that goes into a really, really good question that we need to ask the black community. What is snitching? What is that? Break that down.
You on it, bro. You about to go to get into my next video. I would love to actually go around the room on that. I'm gonna start with you, Kel, since you the last one in here.
So snitching is breaking code. So everybody know about the code that's in the street. See no evil, do no evil, speak no evil. Itself here. you know what's happening, but you're supposed to look the other way because we got the same skin color. You know, to me, it just got to a point where, man, it don't matter. It don't matter anymore because a lot of times the decisions you make affect me in the long run. Because if I don't tell at this moment here, so for example, they've been coming in to the 7-Eleven. 7-Eleven been getting robbed all week by ages 14 to 18. They got a lot of people on camera, but they can't pick out who. So next thing you know, there's a sign on the door. 2 teenagers at a time. Or if it's more, you got to be accompanied by a parent in Southfield.
That's true.
Whereas you could have freely done that in Southfield. So in turn, when you keeping the code and or not keeping the code and snitching, you're helping out in Southfield. But by not snitching, you want to keep them to do what they normally shouldn't be doing in Southfield. So they want to be wrong and they want to continue to stay in their wrong. They want to continue to stay stupid. Because that's one of my biggest things and pet peeves. Ignorance means you don't know, you truly don't know, you're just blissfully ignorant. Stupid means that you know you just not gonna do or you're gonna go the other way anyway. And that in turn is snitching.
Okay.
So you're being real stupid now if you don't snitch by their code. So that's the thing here. They want people to not stop them from doing wrong instead of saying, hey, brother, you're wrong. Hey, sister, you're wrong. But just don't stop at that. Say, here's why, and start explaining itself here. So a lot of people haven't been explained to, a lot of people haven't been taught itself here. And to go back to all the genocide that's happening here, splitting the homes, single mothers, these kids being born out of wedlock and stuff like that. You got differences of opinions. And it's just going generations deep because that's biblical. God looks and the curse goes down 3 to 4 generations deep. So, and if we don't break that curse, it's just going to keep continuing and continuing and continuing.
What's your thoughts, Hef, on what snitching is?
I think snitching, as we colloquially understand it as quote unquote black people, is a mental shackle on our people. Like the brother just said, you know, I don't want to make this an echo chamber, but he's spot on. You know, again, we know who robbed that 7-Eleven. We know who did it. You know, the question is, when are they going to rob you? And then why does it only matter when they rob you? You know, our people, and that's why I always say quote unquote black community. The people on my channel, they understand I use quote unquote quite often, especially when I'm referring to the quote unquote black community or anything along those lines, because I don't see it as a community. If it were a true community, we wouldn't have to have this discussion. You know, we're not a community. We're broken. We're a whole bunch of sovereign entities, all led by, not all, but most led by liberal women, black women, who got a degree. And they're like, you know, I don't need no man. Period. You know, look at this, the statistics, right? And I'm gonna land this plane. Black women graduate school at a much higher rate for the 4-year degree. Right. And just, you know, anecdotally speaking, I'm sure you brothers know somebody or a black woman that's like, yeah, no, you know, my man's gotta, you know, he's gotta be all this, that, and the third. You know, he can't be no plumber, even though that's a great profession, that's a great vocation. You know, he can't be no, you know, like an entrepreneur. You know, like in that movie, that Tyler Perry movie with Sanaa Lathan, when she was sleeping with the white dude, the rich white dude. You know what I'm saying? Her husband was an entrepreneur. He was trying to build a business. And instead of her saying, you know what, we're gonna build this business. I'm gonna be your helpmeet. She started smashing the owner, the CEO. You know, but yeah, snitching is a shackle.
Bro just told me a story, commenting on my post from my conversation yesterday, telling me that his wife left him because he wouldn't get a bigger, more luxurious apartment.
What? Oh my God.
Like, you serious?
Let her go.
He didn't even Like he didn't say no. He just like not now. There's other things we got to work out and deal with, more pressing issues. You know, they didn't even have a kid.
So then,
and I just get bewildered the more I hear what's going on out here. It's insane. What stood out though, real quick, you said Black America is being led by liberal Black women. Can you expound on that a little bit?
Yeah, so basically, for the last more than the last 60 years, overall, not all. There's homes where you have the mother and father intact. We have that. It's just not at great numbers. The majority, especially in the hood, place like where I'm from, nobody know their father and nobody lived with their father. You know what I mean? So we've been led under this matriarchy, and they're liberal because the liberal ideologies keep us in this position that we're in, because they think that they're actually gaining something, but in reality they're not. Like the welfare basically, and child support is a type of welfare, right? Let's just call it what it is. Those things are meant to keep a lower class, a permanent lower class, to keep us as a lower class. And referencing that book that Smitty brought up, that I'm about to do this series on, we know who they want the permanent underclass to be. And that's not me, talking about, this conspiracy theories and all this, everything's racist. No, but it's just the reality, because we've been fed this bowl of lies. Hey, you're a victim. You're this. You deserve this. You deserve all of this. And when we get these subsidies, they think they're actually getting something, but they're still in the same spot. I know people for generations lived in the same projects, did the same thing they mama done did, had more kids than the mama done did. I know that. That's from my own life experience. And I know that this is not just happening over here. I know it's happening, down south. I got family in the south. I know it's happening, and that's why. Because
where we congregate, is happening.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, exactly. But that's why I say liberal, quote unquote, Black women, because the conservative Black women, they get it. They understand what it is to be a mother and to be a wife, and they embrace that role. They want to teach their kids how to be what they are, and the kids want to be what they see their parents be, So yeah, conservative, and I'm apolitical. So when I say that, I'm not talking about, hey, I'm voting Republican. No, that's not what I'm saying. All right, I'm apolitical. I went to school for political science. I was very heavy into politics. I wanted to be a politician, and that has changed many years ago. So whenever I refer to terms as like conservative or liberal, I'm just speaking from a societal standpoint, right? That way we understand where we are.
I get that. It's unfortunate that the term conservative is so politicized, but we understand where you're coming from. And I actually had this conversation recently with a white gentleman who's much older than me. I say maybe in his 50s. And he just was so bewildered. This has actually happened to me twice in the past year. He was so bewildered by me explaining to him the same thing you just said, that growing up in our neighborhoods, it was rare to see a father. If you went to a friend's house and a dad was there, that was strange. It was like, oh, cool, he got the dad. That's the dad. You know what I mean? He was so shocked to hear me say this. Like it was heartbreaking for him, because he was like, man, like my relationship with my dad is so important to me. To imagine the fact that you're telling me y'all are walking around with no, like, an empty space in that department, where this is the foundational piece of what made me who I am. I almost cried just hearing him say that. I'm like, bro, I don't even know what you're talking about. I can't relate to it. And my dad was dead. Like, I knew my dad, but he went off to prison, and did, we had a broken up relationship in my vital years of my adolescence. So we kind of started repairing it in my adult years. So I don't have those memories of learning how to fish and learning how to change a tire and the example of what it means to be a man. And he was like, that's my foundational centerpiece. If you're telling me that this is the story for most African Americans, it seemed like it started to connect with him now, because he's an ex-police officer. So now he's getting why the things that he's seen in the streets were what they were, on a different understanding. So that's big that you went there. Smitty, what is snitching?
I go through a little bit of history. So, of course, we know slavery existed or whatever, but not to create an excuse for it or whatever. And we know like black codes and things of that nature existed as well. So we lived at a certain point in time where we were all we had. Henceforth, while the family was stronger during Jim Crow, during the black codes, during those times and things of that nature. But what it ultimately ended up turning into was the destruction of our communities, because what we ended up doing, or what ended up happening, where people start using the word snitching and talking to police as though it was the equivalent to talking to a slave master.
Interesting.
That's generally where that comes from. It's it's supposed to come off as though we're protecting one another, but it is the deconstruction of your neighborhood.
I'm about to get you then. I'm about to get you. If slavery was legal, would that be snitching if you told master a slave was leaving?
Yeah, in a way, but that's in the most profound sense of what snitching was.
Right. Okay.
It's snitching because it's to the detriment of another person.
Exactly.
The person who's a detriment to you, are you snitching on him, or are you making your are you making your neighborhood better?
Exactly.
Okay. So you try to full swing then. So it sounds like for the most part, most people agree that the snitching code is, I guess, inappropriate for today's time.
It is. Well, you just look at projects and what is Charleston White even talking about? If that's not true, it's people glorify destruction. People glorify the destruction of their neighborhoods. People don't stand up for anything, and then they're standing up for the people who make things ultimately worse for everybody in the neighborhood.
Let me ask you a question. Now, this is something that I've heard my whole life, right? I want to know if y'all brothers ever came across this. You sound white. Why are you talking white?
All the time.
And the issue with that is, well, then what is black? If speaking proper, and thinking and being astute in your delivery, right, and collected, if that is white, if black and white are opposites, then what is speaking black? And that is literally like the crux, if you will, like as an analogy for our issues with the quote unquote black community. Where you hear something like that, you are speaking white. What the hell does that mean?
You know about color communism and common sense, but have you ever read Black Rednecks and White Liberals by Thomas Sowell?
No, but that's one of, hold on, it's actually on my list to order. Don't spoil it for me.
Yeah. I mean, just to give you like a little hint of it or whatever, it's most of the things that we consider to be culturally a part of us as Black Americans in the United States comes from the white antebellum South. So a lot of our bad behavior comes from like Scottish people or from Ireland and things of that nature. So it's like, so what does it actually mean to speak Black? If you actually look at it, like here goes something that most people don't pay attention to. Most people who have like really, really strong criticisms about the way other people should speak is you don't know how you should speak because you don't know history.
Accurate. Question, because you diving into something right now. Hold on. You said that most of what we call Black culture comes from where?
The white antebellum South, deep South.
What does antebellum mean?
Pretty much like around like the Texas, Alabama area,
Oh,
things of
so
that
you're
nature.
talking about the states that literally fought to keep us in slavery.
Hmm.
Okay.
That's where a lot of our languages and things of that nature came from. I wish I could remember these two brothers' names. Well, they're not brothers; they're actually two white dudes. So it was two white dudes who pretty much literally had a debate about the way that people speak, and it was kind of like redneck culture, and then pretty much, for lack of a better word, intellectuals. Intellectuals spoke differently than people from the South. People from the South lived entirely different. What were they more engaged in? To be violent over disagreements. to jump into gang mentality and to grab a whole bunch of other people who look like them and sounded like them to make the other person look stupid.
So you're saying that most of the issues in America is the South culture spreading like a disease.
There you go. And nobody knows how to trace that. Nobody ever traces that. Like, so when you have your tiny Hisi coats and things of that nature speaking for you, and I forget the other brother's name, yo. He also has a book out. But when you have all these so-called black leaders and black heroes that are supposed to supposedly be representation for us, they're not. They're not, because they don't even know the history. They don't know where they get their culture from. And then it's like, yo, you're not, what are you tracing that back to? And if you generally ask that question, and when you found the answer to it, then you would understand that most of the things that you do come from a violent set of people who were uneducated at the time. And we continue to live that out and perpetuate it as though it's the norm.
That makes sense. Because a lot of times as Black people, don't we just take a lot of things that we've been dealt a bad hand and make it look something different and make it look cool and use, and then white people want to go back and take it back and then monetize it and things like that.
Like the word nigga. Like the word nigga.
Yeah, exactly. So that makes sense.
Or even when it came down to like, and this is more recent history. Like you go back to Jesse Jackson. Jesse Jackson's, he didn't put, even though he was supposedly supposed to be representation for Black people, when it came down to it, the schools that his kids went to and the people that he was representing, he never put out the information to why the schools that his kids went to were better than the other schools. So it's like, are there really, like, and you really got to ask this question and think about it, especially in the United States. Are there really Black leaders that exist?
No,
not in the mainstream. No, the Black leaders are in the communities, the real ones.
Agreed.
That's the only way for you to lead, is on a community level. The only way for you to lead is for you to lead in truth. If you're not leading in truth, if everything that you say is a lie to everybody else, then what you get is what we have is a bunch of people who are lied to. And they're looking for these answers from these people who don't have any answers. They don't have any answers for you.
So I have a big question, and then I got to get into this next video. So with that said, do you all believe in systemic racism, and what would be an example of it? For this one, I will start with you, Hef.
That's a great question. That's something that I think about oftentimes, and I go back and forth with it, because obviously the construct of racism is real, right? I don't think anyone's going to sit here and say it doesn't exist. But as far as systemic racism, what our people call systemic racism, I don't agree with that. I don't think that systemic racism is what's holding the quote unquote Black community back. We went through all these different things, right? We have a list compiled between us right here already. And I didn't hear not one brother say racism. I didn't hear not one brother say police brutality. But if you let them tell it, they're going to lead with those things. You know, because again, it furthers that victim mindset. Like, hey, you can't do for you. That's why you need the good white man, the liberal, because he's on your side. He's going to come in. He's going to teach your woman, and that's the first mistake. When the woman gets taught by a man, it's like an aphrodisiac.
Can you
the white man's? I'm sorry.
No, I said you preaching. Go ahead.
Yeah. If the white man's coming into our community and teaching our women, she gonna look at you with disdain, brother, because you got nothing to teach her. You know what I'm saying? Knowledge is power. He who possesses the knowledge has the power. If you have nothing to teach, then that's where it all dies. And because a lot of our brothers have nothing to teach, they know nothing. You know, they sit there and say, yeah, it's racism, and it's not.
Golly, that was good. That was good. What about you, Kel? You got anything to weigh in on that?
I don't believe it to be like very systematic, as more as a planned attack of genocide.
Planned attack of genocide. Okay, and then what's an example of that?
So just think how we got to this point where we're talking about these things. Let's just think about where the household split up between the man and the woman and the marriages itself here. So when did crack hit the streets? Crack cocaine?
The 80s?
About the late 70s, early 80s itself here. That's when we started to have that pandemic happening. Because before that, brothers went to work. It was all good. Household, woman looked up to the man itself here. Everybody started doing crack itself here. Brothers not going to work. They can't keep the household up itself here. And now we having these arguments between each other and everything's breaking down itself here. So, and that's what's causing all these things to happen and getting to the point where everybody thinks that they have their own truth in it to try to get back together itself here, but we just don't know, and it just split down itself here. I just feel like it's been a plan in place to systematically take us out.
Wow. And you
Can I
think
ask you a question? I want to ask you a question, brother, because I like what you said, but I'll ask you this, because it's true, right? That they did put crack into the neighborhoods.
that was what I wanted to ask?
But you know, and they also put the guns in the neighborhood too, right?
Right.
But did they say, hey, nigga, pick up this crack and smoke it, and pick up that gun and shoot it? You know, at what point do we say, hey, okay, that happened, they put it there, but ain't nobody forced us to pick this shit up? Excuse my language, but you know that's not the case. You know,
right. But it goes back to knowledge is power, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if you don't know, you think of a carrot in front of a rabbit long enough, you're gonna go after it until he finds the sack. Hey, why am I really going after this carrot itself here? Is it gonna benefit me, or am I playing into their hands? And for what I feel itself here is that we've gone into it where we've just done it and just keep doing it and doing it and doing it. And there's been nobody to really correct it because the normal has become abnormal. So now we're at the point, we got to a point so far gone that we've gotten the pushback that it doesn't matter.
And to a degree that I'm willing to argue that there was no one there to correct it because there was no fathers in the homes. I find it really odd that the crack agenda took place well after the prior agendas that were necessary to remove the men from the homes. Like, why wasn't crack popping up in the 50s?
Well, it didn't exist back then, but Lyndon B. Johnson did play a role into it, though.
Yeah.
What did exist back then? Crack?
Yeah, crack didn't exist. Like, cocaine existed.
That's what I'm saying. So it could have been done then, you know. Yeah. So it does start to make me wonder when I'm asking these systemic questions, because like you said, you know that happened. We already discussed the welfare system, child support, how all of that plays, and it's like, I guess the bigger question is, do we believe that it's a specific attack on us, or is it just on a class in general of Americans?
A little bit of both, I'd say.
Yeah.
What's your thoughts?
Because think about it. I'm sorry. Like COINTELPRO, you know, all these conspiracy theories that we're all aware of, right?
Right.
That's just not for quote unquote black people. That's for everybody. The government's gonna lie to you no matter what. they're gonna try to, lead you this way no matter what, So yeah, but are there certain things that are just for us? Oh yeah, you better believe it. You better believe it. But again, I think
why do you think they would target us specifically?
Because again, referencing, I'm not sure if any of you guys ever read the Communist Manifesto, but basically, we live in a communistic society right now. We believe that it's not because they tell us that it's not, but we're right there. We're knocking on the door, all right, and someone's about to open it, and because of that, you have to have an underclass. You have to have a permanent underclass. That's how that society works. You have the proletariat and the bourgeoisie. You know what I'm saying? And quote unquote black people are that steady right there. Okay. Because they already believe it. They already believe it. We've already been indoctrinated to the point where if anybody, a red man can walk around and say, yeah, you're a victim. And, you should get this for free. You deserve this and that. And the black man will say, you are right. You are right. I need that. Because I do not deserve it.
You're right, because everything we're talking about right now, Malcolm X was talking about.
Oh yeah, that's one of the. Oh man, I listened to everything he ever said.
Yeah, and so that's the funny part about it. And like I guess it does make an easy target when all you got to do is bring up slavery, and we'll connect with something 200 years ago that we ain't never lived through over and over. That's all it takes. You connected to slavery, you can sell us anything.
Yes, brother. Yes.
What about you, Smitty? Do you agree? Is there racism and what would be?
I believe it exists, especially like on a welfare level. But I believe that systematic racism is a lock that's on people to where they already gave you the key for it. So you are as locked down as you allow yourself to be. So it's not like you can't free yourself. But to say that it doesn't exist at all, it's like, yeah, it exists, but can you free yourself from it? For sure.
In what ways does it exist that you're aware of? Today.
Give me 1 second because I already had the idea and then I tried to write it down and then like my thing completely deleted itself. But well, I'll go back to the welfare thing. Well, welfareism to me and child support to me is kind of like systematically tearing down black homes, and it has been since its invention. So like that's easily to me like, well, yeah, do white people have access to it? Yes. Does it affect them as much as it affects us? No. But I do believe, as I said, that it's a key. We already have the key to it because you can easily lock yourself down by jumping on it. Family Values just put up another beautiful thing. Mm-hmm. Yeah, those are big facts. So those are things that affect us, but we do have the key. Is there a gun to our head making us make bad decisions? No. So like I agree that it's choice, but where are Planned Parenthoods at? Are they in the hood or are they in suburban areas?
Do you believe generally that we should follow the law?
That's kind of like a loaded question.
It's a tough one. That's why I asked.
Yeah, I say this because most revolutionary people, I would believe, even though they never said this, I don't believe you should follow stupid rules.
Okay. So you should determine what laws you follow.
I think that's kind of deterministic on our free will. It's like, well, you shouldn't murder, but you can.
Right. Okay. I mean, I think the street niggas will agree with you. We got some common ground for my street heathens out here.
Nah. Well, I don't understand like how that equates to that. Like make that make sense to me.
Well, I mean, because that's usually the common thing that you will hear them say is that everything that happened to us, you know, we got the right to lash out, or that's why we're rioting and looting because of what was done to us. Fuck the law. We built this country. You know what I'm saying? So
but that's not the key to success, though. And it's been done over and over and over again, and there's no success to it. So no, I'm not perpetuating the idea to go out and go loot in the streets or anything.
I didn't say you did. I didn't say you did. I brought that up because that's what makes the question so tough. You know, because on one end, slavery was legal. So we breaking the law running away from Master House.
Yeah,
that would make Harriet Tubman and all of them criminals in that time.
Yeah, but that would also fall down upon the answer. You shouldn't follow stupid rules. Should I be as free as you? Even though the color of my skin is different, or are you saying because the color of the skin of Harriet Tubman that she should have followed the rules and she shouldn't have created the rail, the tunnels and things that she did, the path that she created or whatever. So it's like, we'll take what I say, one, with a grain of salt, but also keep what I say in context, because I'm not trying to tell people to break the law. I'm just saying sometimes in order to get things done, you do have to break stupid rules. I mean, if you look at the civil rights, if you look at the era of civil rights or whatever,
Rosa Parks was a street nigga.
Huh?
Rosa Parks was a street nigga.
Possibly. You could look at her like that, especially to a lot of white people. She probably would have looked like a street nigga.
She was legally allowed to do that. She sat there.
She was rebellious. But did Rosa Parks kill anybody?
No.
Yeah. So like, I'm not for playing God with other people's lives or whatever, but sometimes it does take you taking a stance. Like, even in today's world, in order for you to even stand out now, or, well, not even for you to stand out, but what makes you stand out now is to just be honest. Being honest makes you kind of a criminal in a lot of other people's eyes.
No, I feel what you're saying. I'm not saying that you're saying anything's okay, but I mean, it's so many ways to look at this. Even outside of Black culture, you can tie in the January 6th situation. You know what I mean? So that's why I asked the question, because it's important and it's hard to really get a common ground answer on that.
You know, I really like that question. I've never heard it asked before, and what I think is, it depends on how the person thinks in doing the wrong thing. You know what I mean? I think that's where it truly lies, because you're right. Sometimes you have to break some eggs, right? If you want to make an omelet, but why are you doing that? You know what I mean? Why are you doing it? For sustenance, to feed your family? That's why you're breaking these eggs to make this omelet, because if you don't, you're gonna die. Or are you doing it just because you say, you know what, I got a fridge full of food, but I want to just break these eggs to make this omelet? I think
you can separate like certain things, because it's like you don't necessarily have to glorify these people, but you can understand where they're coming from, because you could take like Tookie Williams and Cali, and then you could take Malcolm X. And those are two different ways of like breaking the doggone egg. You know what I mean? Maybe one you get a little bit more yolk with the other, or maybe when you get a little less yolk with the other. But I mean, that's a really, really loaded question, bro.
It is. I want to ask you a question though. Actually, this is for all of y'all, if I can, because I've never heard this question asked. It's got my brain going. So, when it comes to laws, what we're saying is, hey, some we could maneuver around, some, whatever, is nuance. I think we all agree on that, right? But when it comes to the scriptures and it comes to sin is sin, right? So murder, and adultery, he didn't say, hey, you know what, if you do this, you can only go to hell for 5 years. But if you do that, you're going to hell for the rest of your life. That's not how it is. So again, that's why I think it's about why you're doing it. And when you do it, if you choose to make that decision, that what you're doing is wrong, therefore you can repent and say, yeah, I did what I did was wrong, but this is why I did it, and I'll be judged for that. When it comes, but I think a lot of people, they just do just to do, without even caring about it. And then when you ask him about it, hey, no, I'm the victim. I could do that.
Hopefully, you can ask this in a better way, because if you, I don't believe in righteous sin. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
so like, what's a better way to ask that?
Well, hold on. Before you say you don't believe in righteous sin, I'm gonna challenge you now.
Okay.
And I'm not agreeing with him, because I wanted to challenge him too. Somebody touch your little girl. What you doing to him?
Oh yeah, no, for sure.
I'm gonna protect my girl.
For sure.
No. If he done it and it's done already.
Oh, it's over for him.
That's not protection at that point. It's over. He's already did it.
Mm-hmm.
So you're gonna righteously sin.
Oh
yeah. No, that's righteous. That's righteous judgment. Because I might not find out till a year later, and then when I find out a year later, it's still protecting my daughter, bro.
Well, that's a good point.
That's how you're wording it, but I'm just saying, if we're going straight off of rules, thou shalt not kill does not say unless.
Thou shalt not murder, and killing and murder are two different things.
Thou shalt not murder doesn't say unless he touch your daughter. Yeah,
but murder and killing somebody so if somebody broke into your house right now,
no, that's not
murder. Hold on. Just answer the question. Just for the sake of it.
The reason why it doesn't matter, we've already established murder and kill is different.
Mm-hmm.
I gave that scenario specifically for a reason. If he touched your kid and you find out after the fact, that's not you doing self-defense anymore.
I mean, that's a liquid.
It wouldn't be self-defense in the first place, because if I saw it happening, then it wouldn't happen. It just happened, so it's still defense.
Bro, you could be somewhere and you're not there to stop the act, but then you find out it's going on and you react. That can happen.
Is that murder?
No, that's not what I'm talking about, though. That's why I said if you found out it happened after the fact, and then let's say you just get home off a trip. Hey, this happened to so and so.
All right, so let's go back to Leviticus and Deuteronomy then. So if you got caught doing something that you weren't supposed to do, and the law said to stone somebody, was there a time limit on the stoning? Or
so hold on. So with this example, is there something in there saying you can do that?
What, murder somebody?
Yes, because you're giving a hypothetical. I gave a specific example. So can it be justified in the Bible?
I don't have every stoning in the Bible recorded. I can look it up though. I don't have them all recorded. I mean, there was a reason why the woman that didn't get stoned was grateful for not getting stoned though, and it doesn't necessarily say that she was caught in the act of it.
Right. No, because that was, under the law, you stoned an adulterer's wife, though. That's what I'm saying. But if you're saying that there's something that say if you catch somebody doing something to your kids, you ought to stone them, then that's one thing. But we also know that we're not under that law now. But this is a good point. She said Jesus healed on the Sabbath. That was him breaking the law for a righteous cause. That's a great point. And that's where I align. What were you saying, Kel?
I mean, to me, it's a liquid sword. Because doesn't it also say that God says, don't seek revenge?
Talk about it.
It's mine. Itself here. So I believe in the flesh, there's going to be consequences. Because morally, we know, that's wrong. Itself here.
I don't think we get from Christ's example that it's okay to kill the guy out of revenge for our daughter.
Well, in Christ's eyes, playing it all the way fair, it probably wouldn't be justified. Yeah.
But it don't mean I ain't gonna do it. I'm just
exactly. Well, I say it's a different story.
Take him for blood because I'm gonna cut his out of him.
You going to go see him. Hopefully you believe, bro.
This church is for a reason. We're gonna have to get busy.
Yeah.
For real.
I did want to play this other Charleston White video real quick, man, because he's giving us the talking points.
See, some niggas will go to jail knowing their homeboy should have took that case and they'll squabble about it in jail. Man, you should have told. No, nigga, why we got to do it there? If that white boy got to look at us, nigga, you know I got the job. You know I got kids. You do this life, homie. Why should you put me in this situation? Nigga, it's mine. He gonna find it in my pocket. He ain't gonna find it under no motherfucking seat, you coward motherfucker. You know you got to go to jail for selling dope. Don't throw it nowhere, nigga. Fuck wrong with you niggas? This what come with it. When did niggas stop wanting to go to jail? When? Nigga, go, man, hurry up and take me to jail, motherfucker. I don't want to talk. So I can go down here and burn it. When did niggas stop wanting to go to jail, homie? Well, I gotta put my homeboy in a situation to tell on me.
I can't help but love the guy. Bro, as ignorant and wild as he is, he's right. Like, at the end of the day, when we grew up, you ain't get to be the street nigga scared to go to jail. That was your stripe. That was your badge of honor. Now, man, that was always my fear, is like riding with certain dudes and getting pulled over and they put something under my seat in my car. And then I'm a snitch now if I say it ain't mine. Some people consider that a snitch. We supposed to be, I've seen rappers say that. You supposed to stay silent, let the police do their job and figure it out. You lost your mind. But I mean, while we on the snitch topic, how far do we go? I mean, we all are pretty much acknowledge we don't agree with the street code.
Mm-hmm.
Where do we draw the line? Where do we say you're wrong? Because I didn't really get to give my opinion, but I feel like, and I tell my friends straight up, I'm not the street guy. I got a family I'm going home to. Y'all do something while I'm in the car, you're going to jail, because I'm going to tell them every step that you did.
Bro, before I enter your vehicle, I let it be known. Hey, bro, if you got a gun in here, you got anything in here, bro, I got a family that I'm going back home to. And I ain't eating no charges for nobody, bro. Hey, look, you got plenty of homeboys that ain't me. Don't involve me in it. Don't involve me in it. Why do you need me to be involved in your gun charge? Well, bro, you like, well, this ain't me per se, but hey, you the one with the clean record, bro. You get off, off in no time.
So I want to keep that clean record, so when I do need it, it'll come in handy.
Yeah, bro, but bro, how many like this is so weird to me. So you want to leave your wife or your girl at home while you locked up, and the only time that y'all can talk to each other is if you hit her up and she got money on the phone?
And it always runs out, bro. I don't care how.
And as a dude, I've been locked up before, bro. And I'll genuinely tell you, bro, it's the weakest I've ever felt in my whole entire life, bro. It's the weakest I've ever felt in my whole entire life.
Completely powerless.
It's like, babe, I need some commissary. Say that to your girl and see if you don't feel like a bitch.
Damn, bro.
Hey, yo, like that shit. And that's just me airing it out, being cool, bro. Like, it ain't shit cool about that. It ain't nothing cool about it. Look, my daughter was born when I was locked up. I was around for all of my kids. I got 5 kids, by the way. But one of them, whose name I got tattooed right here, Kyrie, I wasn't there when she was born. And this in some stupid way was me trying to make up for it. You know what I mean? And hell no. Hell no. Hey, bro, you get caught with a rifle in the car with me? Tony Clark. That's Tony Clark gun, baby.
Think about it, bro. And this is easy to say, but I don't get that. Like, first and foremost, if I'm with you and you my mans, we get pulled over, I'm taking that L if it's mine. Why would I tuck my stuff under your? I don't understand. If I'm gonna take that risk, then it's on me.
I mean, but that goes way back. But even though, I don't want to detract away from it, because niggas even used to do it back in the day. But you gotta understand that, pardon my French, but bitch niggas always existed.
Real rap.
But right now, it's at an all-time high. Don't nobody want to take no charge for anything that they're complicit in. And if that's how you stand, I don't need you around me. I don't want you around me. I don't want you around my kids. I don't want you around anything that I got.
That's a dangerous man.
Yeah.
That's a day. What was you about to say, Kel? You sound like you had a thought.
I mean, because growing up where I grew up at, we had ways of finding that out way before we got into those situations. But it's just like that. If that's supposed to be your ace in the hole, why would you want to put your ace in that position anyway?
Right.
To even be in a position where, hey, we get pulled over, something may happen itself here. And especially growing up in like the early 90s and stuff like that, you know, because I got profiled coming back from Twine House one night itself here. Now, luckily, I didn't have anything on me itself here, but that could have been a wild night itself here. And I'm going back and thinking, what if I had somebody else in the car itself here? And I would have had to assume that responsibility for that. But that's the way that I think itself here. Dudes today, they're going to pass that buck all the way around itself here. And then everybody going to go down. And then what you're seeing right now with Thug situation itself here. You know, this man
a snitch.
I mean, it don't matter at this point. They snitching. All they doing is getting plea deals itself here. Yeah. All they doing is adjusting their time.
I think in those type of situations where y'all running the organization together, you corny for that. If we agreed to do a crime together and then you throw me under the bus, that's messed up. But ain't no honor amongst thieves. You should know what you're getting into out here in these streets.
That's the prison population, though. You got to understand that. The prison population is a bunch of people who went to go do crimes with other people, and then a bunch of these people told on one another. That's why people can't be in the same cell blocks as other. If you ever been locked up, like I've been locked up, and they're like, "Do you have any enemies in here?" That's a literal question that they ask you when you're locked up. Like, yeah. They look up people who you share places with.
I say, yeah, everybody. For real.
Oh man.
Put me right next to the nurse or the security office.
But see, people don't do that or whatever, bro, because we like social creatures. So you want to be around somebody.
Right. You're right.
Me personally, like that was my one and only run-in. It was that, and then after that, it was it. And then when I was in there, I'm sitting over here listening to these cats talk. And while I'm in there, they're devising a plan that will pretty much lead them back right where they are.
That's crazy.
Right where they are. Man, as soon as I get up out this bitch, I'm about to go light this nigga crib up. And you're like, yo. So you don't think nobody gonna trace that back to you?
On the night after you got out?
Right. Like, man, like that shit is wild, though. That shit is wild. Like criminals, though there are some that are intelligent or whatever, it's like still to me, I kind of look at you like, yo, you lack intelligence because you have all this gump and drive in you to where you could be doing some other shit, but you rather be doing this instead. Bro. And I try to understand people like that instead of like labeling them. You know what I mean? So like what I said earlier, you know, in this episode, it's like, it's hard for you to be what you've never seen, but that's still not an excuse.
Right. No, you in the vein, bro. You in the vein, and that's why, like, I used to be afraid of the street nigga. You know, you like, oh, that nigga wild. You don't know what you're gonna get. And now I'm not at all. Like, street niggas don't even faze me because I understand how stupid they move. Like, I know a young boy, rest in peace, who got killed because he got into an altercation in the club. Came out the club. They get into it again. Young boy say, man, I'm about to go get my gun. Didn't make it to the car.
Mm.
I think he 18, 19 years old. Barely made it into adulthood. So it's like the biggest issue, yo. It's like young dudes out here act like they got something to prove. they got to prove they're a man, and the ego, the pride is just out of this world, bro. And I'm just at a place now, I don't got nothing to prove to these niggas. And I think that's why I relate so much to Charleston White. Like, this is the last video I'm going to show for the night. And I really want to get your thoughts, because growing up in the Black community, I think hearing him say things that we can agree with today because we've changed our thinking still sometimes can be cringe for us, because you still culturally feel the need to relate with certain ideas. But we're going to end it on this one.
It's so goddamn bad. All you got to do is say, I'm calling the police, and watch what a nigga do. Say, listen, my woman heard me tell some women at one time. We first got together. We newlyweds. She did me like that one time. I ain't going no motherfucking world. 911. I got to move, and you hear me? Say, I got to move. Say, babe, what? Say, you on the wall, man? What the fuck? Got up and got to moving. It's so goddamn bad. All you got to do is.
I mean, it's hilarious, but it really is that simple in the Black community, bro. A lot of times 911 would have saved a lot of people's lives in some of the altercations and situations that we end up losing people over. Because niggas getting up out of there. Do y'all feel like, as the Black community, or maybe not a community, as individual men, I want to ask you, do you feel within your clans, your tribes, your units, it is inappropriate to call the police? And maybe not even specifically on each other, but some people just feel like the police in general is not a good idea for Black people if we love one another. What's your thoughts on that? Kel first.
In wildest of situations, yeah, I'm gonna call the cops. I've always been a person where I usually can handle the situation myself, but I've learned over the years that some people they just don't care. So I'm gonna just call the cops itself here and let them deal with it itself here, because you don't want to get to the point where you put your life in danger behind the stupid stuff that they're doing itself here, because now it essentially is some sort of self-preservation in that point here, because if it's me or you, I gotta take you out. That's pretty much what it is itself here. But in the end, it's like we all trying to help each other. But more importantly, closer than that, the reason why I don't really like to call the cops itself here, because I want to try to talk to them. Because 9 times out of 10, wherever the situation is like that, that's not the reason it's like that. And I need to find out what the reason is. You know, and then being in the walk with God itself here, is more easier for me to talk to him and come to him and be like, hey, hold on, what's really going on? Because if somebody's going off at the hip or something and they saying some crazy stuff, oh, bro, whoa, sis, what's really happening? What's going on? Talk to me. Itself here. Now, if I can't get you to talk to me at that point here, and you still just gonna do that, hey, I gotta hand you over to the authorities at that point. But
I feel that. Either one of you gentlemen that want to weigh in.
It's I mean, he hit it pretty much on the head, I would say. You know, obviously I was brought up, you know, we don't do that. You know what I mean? Like, that's a no. You know what I'm saying? I've seen cousins call the cops on, like, you know, family fights, and then, like, you know, hey, whoa, when the cops leave, no, we do not do that. You know, so it was ingrained in me. But obviously, as you get older and you mature and you start to understand, you know, the world that you're living in, you say to yourself, well, you know, if you think that you have to call the cops for something, you know, your gut's telling you that, you should probably follow your gut. Because like you said, so, you know, a lot of lives could have been saved. And there's a lot of lives that will not be saved this year alone by people not calling the cops. And this is what I say on my channel to my people. I say this about the cops. They're human garbage men. That's basically what they are. They're here to come and take out the trash. So if I'm dealing with somebody, whether male or female, that person is trash and they gotta go, I'm gonna call the person whose job it is to take your ass the hell up out of here. You know what I'm saying? That's it.
Bro, you gave me my clip right there. What's your thoughts, Smitty?
Of course I'm calling the police, bro. I got insurance, bro. How the fuck else you gonna get the insurance claim done, bro? How the hell else you gonna get the insurance claim done? You gotta call the police or whatever. You know what I mean? Now, I'll say this like on some serious claims. Like me living here in Michigan or whatever, when it comes down to the police saving my life, it's probably not going to happen, but I'm not against other people doing it because it's just me in my area. So I wouldn't deter anybody from where they stay at to where they have better possible police response times. Can you close that door? Thank you. To where they have possible better police response times than I do. I'm not necessarily like anti-police, and if I was, it's not nothing that I need to speak on now. But yeah, I'm not against calling the police.
Okay. My thoughts on this is a little bit difficult because probably not having my father at that crucifix in my life, like I said, I do have a little problem with authority. So if somebody always calling the police and I always had to worry about dealing with litigation, I probably wouldn't be friends with that type of person. I just out of the reality, I just don't want to deal with that type of stuff. You know what I mean? But I understand the role that they play in society and they are important. I back the police. I'm all for them. The great cops out there doing what they do. I think it's necessary. I don't want to live in a community that don't have police. That sounds like a nightmare to me. So the biggest answer is if you don't want to deal with the police, don't break the law. But with that said, you already touched on the one issue, Smitty, that the police often come late in urban areas. I've witnessed that myself living in Philly. Thankfully, it wasn't an emergency, but I had called the police one night because a drunk driver slammed into my vehicle at 3 a.m. and they literally never came. I had to call them again the next afternoon. That's absolutely unacceptable. But you know, maybe they didn't care because it was just an accident where nobody was in the car. So definitely I'm not saying I would depend on police, but if at all possible in a heated situation, I gotta ride with Kel because still, and I'm not the one that pulls the race card, but I do think there are some that unfortunately, because of the image we create for ourselves as Black men in America, in the gang and hip hop culture, some cops are going to look at me the way that I look, the dreadlocks, and they may misjudge me if they pull up and I got a gun on my hand and somebody laying dead.
So I got a question for you then, with you saying that, because you've been an excellent host, but we haven't had the opportunity to hear a lot of your ideas. With the statement that you just made, would you say that our culture at large could create systemic racism?
I think it aids it. Yes, I think we walking hand in hand with it for sure.
Okay.
Because the very things we complain about being misjudged for are the things we brag about in our entertainment.
Yeah.
It makes no sense. So I find two things happen. Typically in my dealings with police, I a lot of times I'll see them come with a certain energy, especially during the 2020 era with all the BLM. They expect certain things, but the minute I show them respect, say, hey, officer, can I, what did you need out of that? Oh, sure, here's my life. They're literally dropping their guard immediately. And half of the time I get away with the situation that I shouldn't have. I could have been doing 15 over the limit and they'll let me go just because I'm a respectable Black man in this culture that we're in today. They're just like, man, I'm just happy that I didn't have to be afraid, because I think sometimes they're afraid. You know, every Negro ain't out here shooting at the police, but the same way we're seeing that and we're afraid every time a siren goes off, they starting to feel that way too, because they know that the more afraid we are, the more hostile the situation can be. And so now it's like, if we do have a weapon that they don't see or don't know, that altercation can go bad either way. Because
So given the
10, if they were to shoot us justified, the news and the court of public opinion is gonna hang them still.
And yeah, we've had that talk about the court of public opinion. So given the fact that more than 40% of Black people are in the middle class, do you feel as though police officers should look at us more on an individual basis and less like what they see on news reports? Especially because it's their jobs?
2 points to that.
Go ahead.
I think their job is to police a community. So in a healthy, sustainable community, yes. In a crime-ridden community, I think it's rational to look at the people hanging in the streets as criminals. I'm not saying it's fair or righteous, but we don't police these streets. You know what I mean? To see what they see day in and day out in those types of areas, I think it's hard to not look for the next criminal when there's shots going off every night, drugs, pimping, prostitution. I mean, these communities are terrible. Now, if they're in the middle class community treating us like that, and that happens too, I mean, I understand that they may feel like you don't belong here and those types of things. That's one thing. But most of the complaints I'm hearing about policing is in trash neighborhoods that we don't even want to live in when we get successful.
Because just adding this in here, but I think a well-policed area, especially like even things that Charleston White proposes as an idea, would somewhat be like private policing. I don't think that would be like a bad idea. Like, we have state mandated police officers and like sheriffs and things of that nature. Police officers designated specifically for certain areas. Like, Jewish communities have this, but they have the money too.
Right.
But
I mean, we can have it too. Then, if it's about the money, we just got to pay for it.
Yeah.
And for that, you know that.
Yeah, and I'm with that. Like not even the abolishment of the regular police, but just having private police officers in general, because I think that's a good community response. And if anybody else had anything else to add, or
I want to swing it back to you with this. The first video we watched, we did watch the Nipsey one, correct?
Yeah.
The issue that he portrayed in that video is that we even judge each other off of our image, and we expect the police not to. I think that's the problem. Because the reality is this, and I'ma hate that this is the reality, but I have to be honest. When I present myself like this, I have never had that problem. When I go out here chilling, and anything that looks or mimics streetwear or what hip hop culture, portrays in the manner of what a gangster would wear, is when I have those problems. I've never in my personal life seen a man that did not match that image, rather black or white, being hounded by a cop.
I mean, that's exactly why I changed up the way that I dress. Here.
It sucks that we have to, but it is an honest reality to at least put out there, if I'm going to be honest.
Yeah. I would toss this out there, and this is beyond the culture, is I don't think that there's an attire for decency, because you could be the same criminal in a suit as you can in sweatpants.
This is true.
But you have to get past that first.
But is it as likely? And this is what I'm saying. Like, there's different levels of criminal activity. We know the mob. We know the freaking cartel. They come in suits, and that's the worst. I mean, that's as bad as it gets. but are they typically the ones out on the corners terrorizing the community? You know, now, unfortunately, that's a bad example with the cartel because we know they are fueling the terror in the community, you know, overhead. But
I mean,
they murder, that's us.
The only way for me to equalize that is there is the majority of what you see that is what is visible to you, and then there are these crazy, insane outliers that are invisible to other people.
Correct. That's true.
But to match that point, though, I think because a lot of times what's being portrayed are crazy outliers. So a lot of people.
That's a fact all over. I think the more nuanced takes to shit is what, like, the loud minority is what sticks out amongst sensible people. Sensible people are more likely to pay attention to a loud minority of people because they're like, all right, and we all assess our ways of life when we walk out this door to go deal with this thing that we call life. So as we walk out the door or whatever, we assess threats differently.
Family Values just challenged the shit out of me with this.
Stop wearing a gangster's uniform, expecting respect and trust, just like women should stop wearing a whore. So what is a gangster's uniform? Is a good question. Because if like a hoodie and sweatpants is a gangster's uniform or whatever, then do we need to attack Nike and Adidas and Reebok?
Those are both fair questions. Pep, you got to weigh in, man. You look like you in deep thought.
Yeah, I'm appreciating the conversation. You know, I think this is interesting because do we police what we wear when we know that, like he said, like Smitty said, you could be a criminal wearing a suit. You know, you could be a criminal wearing, like, for instance, I love Champion. I've always loved Champion. 90% of the time when I'm not working or doing something where I need to dress appropriately, I'm wearing Champion. You know, whether it's a hoodie, you know what I'm saying, whether it's a long shirt with the with a pair of bright J's on, you know, so that could be misconceived as street, right, or quote unquote thug.
Yep.
Do I think it is? No, I don't think it is. If I see a brother wearing it, is that going to be my first go-to? No, not quite. It depends on how he pulled up. You know, it depends on his language, his body language. You know, once he pulled up, you know, if he's walking the walk, you know, like Nipsey said in the video, like, you can spot it. You know, you can spot it.
Sure.
You know, now I think to your main question, Driscoll, about the cops, they not going to be able to spot it like you and I can spot it.
Exactly. That's the issue, is that we can spot it because we're in it.
Mm-hmm.
But especially if this cop ain't never lived in that neighborhood, you know, he's policing from the outside looking in, he's not going to spot it. And that's the unfortunate situation.
That goes back to the point. I think it was you that brought it up about the, might have been Smitty, about the private police force.
Right.
Which is something that I'm not totally against. But my question was, I didn't ask it, but I'm going to ask it, is who is going to be policing? Because I think one of the issues that we have right now with police, and again, I respect police, I respect our armed forces members, you know, all of that, a great deal. But is it working as well as it could or should? No. I think, you know, if we have people from the community policing the community, we're going to get better results. When you got somebody coming from a totally different lifestyle coming into this community, you know, if you were to ask me the question, is this guy going to be more likely or less likely to think that black dude wearing that hoodie on that Champion outfit is a thug? I'm going to say, yeah, he's probably way more likely to think that, you know, as opposed to a brother from the same community. You know,
I think you're right, 100% on that matter. And I've experienced that. You know, the looks when you can see people looking at you, you can feel they're judging you or think a certain thing of you, and then you open your mouth and it's like, what a pleasant surprise.
Exactly.
You know, and it's almost insulting, but at the same time, I've learned to see it as a blessing because is God allowing us to be a bridge and be the example we want the world to see. But it's unfortunate still that as a father, to protect my legacy, to make sure I'm here for my kids, I don't think I want to be standing outside with a gun in my hand. You know, and that's why I asked that police question. It's like, it's difficult. If somebody breaking your house, you ain't got time for the police. You got to do what you got to do. And I mean, you're a New Yorker. I know y'all gun laws is different. I don't know what that means for you. But for the rest of us normal Americans, we got the right to take care of our homes.
Yeah, it's crazy out here where you cannot do that. You know what I'm saying? Someone can come up, run up in your spot, do whatever. If you shoot them dead,
yeah,
it's over for you.
Yeah.
And so in those types of situations, they want the police to be your only authority. And I just don't know. Like in the house, I'm gonna do what I gotta do, but I feel like certain situations, especially if I'm at somebody's cookout and I'm dressed normal, I'm not wearing a suit typically. You know, I'm a wedding DJ. That's the only reason I got suits. But aside from that, if I'm at somebody's cookout and there's a logical reason for me to have to draw my gun, which again, I'm sorry, New Yorker, but you know, in America, most of us can get concealed carry permits. So if I have to draw my gun and shoot somebody lawfully, I don't know if I want to. I would much rather have the cops come than to see me pull up with a gun and my dreadlocks and my street attire, especially if somebody, you know, where it happened, the house we're in was considered the hood. I don't know. I would much rather call the cops, get out of there. I'm gonna flee the situation. Maybe that makes me the house N-word, but I gotta go.
At first, when you said it, I didn't fully get what you meant. Now I do, about, you know, you having the gun because you have to take care of the business. You know, I think that that's just one of those things that's just going to have to happen. I mean, if it happens, right? Knock on wood, that never has to happen.
Of course.
But, you know, if it happens in that instance, you're just going to have to hope that you get a cop that's, you know, patient, I suppose, because, you know, it already happened. It's either him or you, right?
I don't know if it's a race thing, but I do think it's accurate that you will deal with some cops where you got to be extra. Because I told the story before where I was pulled over, and the city that I was in at the time, if you got a concealed carry permit, Kel, this was in Virginia Beach. If you got a concealed carry permit,
I saw that video. I remember the video. You recorded. You even recorded the.
No, that was a different video. I know what you're talking about. But yeah. If you got a concealed carry permit in Virginia Beach, the police will see it in their system when they pull you over. Now, to me, that's unconstitutional because part of my right to bear arms is to defend myself against tyrannical government. Mm-hmm. So why is the police able to see this when they could be tyrannical government? But anyway, so he pulls me over and starts asking me, where's my gun? And I'm like, it's in my glove compartment. Is there a problem, officer? He's like, well, why didn't you tell me? You know, and started fussing at me like, don't you think I would want to know that and this and that? And I'm like, well, Virginia doesn't have a law that says I have to tell you that. You know, some states, if they ask, you got to tell. But he didn't even ask yet. He just started going off. And I questioned after that, would that have happened to me if I was a white gentleman in business attire? I don't believe so. Because I know I'm not the only man in Virginia with a concealed carry permit. Mm-hmm. So why did I have that problem?
All right.
Now I was also dreadlocked, street attire that night. I ain't have a business suit on, so just to be all the way.
That's cool. So, are you saying that the only way that you should feel safe, or not? I know you're not going that far, but it's kind of like you're putting off the vibes to where it's like, well, if you dressed in more business attire, then your police interactions would be different. So my ability to dress comfortably should be opposed by the police because of what other niggas do.
I didn't say it should. I'm just talking about what is.
Yeah, but that's still like not fair. Like just because I have a hoodie on doesn't mean that I'm a criminal. A hoodie by no means shows that you're a criminal. It just means that you like. It just means that you like hoodies.
Have you seen more bank robberies in hoodies or suits?
It depends on what area you're talking about.
Video of a nigga robbing a store with a suit, and I'll shut up. All Google store robbery with a hoodie and find 4 different videos right now.
Yeah, it's not going to be a store robbery with a hoodie on or whatever. But does hoodie equate to criminal?
No,
that's not the point.
But it is though, because like you're stripping the fact that there's more people wearing hoodies than people wearing hoodies who are criminals.
I'm gonna tell you why it's not the point though, because there are more people who commit crimes in hoodies than they commit crimes in suits. As a cop, unfortunately, it is my job to find people who fit the description when something is reported.
Mm-hmm.
And if it's typical that the description is this, it's hard for me to not process that in my head when I keep seeing that. I'm not saying that you treat every nigga with a hoodie. I'm just saying that I can see where it makes their job difficult. That's the only thing I'm saying. Yeah.
I mean, on a statistical level or whatever, I wouldn't know to look at a hoodie as a tool of crime. Now, if I see somebody walking up to me with a hoodie on, and then I see a mask come over their face or some shit like that, yeah. But I mean, you could wear like a sweatshirt. Like, bro, you could rob somebody in a Christmas sweater.
Can I ask you something, bro? And how often are you walking the streets? Not in a car going places, but walking the streets.
Oh, quite often, bro. Okay. I do bike rides. I walk a lot.
Let me paint this picture for you then, because I see this, especially when I lived in Philly. If I'm walking on the side of the street and there's a guy with a hoodie on and his hands in his pockets,
oh man,
I'm going on the other side of the street.
Because I'm adding the area. I'm adding the area in which you're talking towards your conversation. So maybe Philly police officers are dealing with that. Maybe Baltimore police officers are dealing with that. Maybe even Detroit,
Atlanta, Miami, New Orleans, Dallas, Houston, LA. We could go all day, bro. Everywhere where we're at, they dealing with it.
Yeah.
Everywhere where we're at.
So a large majority of crimes are committed with hoodies on.
I'm not saying that. I don't have that.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know how to take it in a way to where it's like, well, yeah, you can dress presentable, but like I'm not about to start wearing like Ralph Lauren button-ups every day so the police don't pull me over.
Well, I'm not saying that you should. And if you don't have an issue, then there's no reason to change it. If the police pulling you over and messing with you ain't a problem, but I'm just thinking analytically as wise men. If we have an issue, the only thing in our power is to do what brings us the best results. That's all I'm saying. Now, if you're not having an issue, because like I said, for some reason, the police don't really mess with me no more. I think maybe because after I got a reckless driving, I started driving the speed limit. I don't know. But if I was constantly having an issue as a man, I would have to figure out what I can change, because I can't change people on the outside. There's nothing I can do to affect their thinking. But we in the Black community like to discredit perception. And I think the rest of the world perfectly understands the way perception works. It's just a reality.
That's the point right there.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. I think that, for instance, I have my car's tinted out. All my cars are always tinted, and it's illegal. You can't have it, but I still do it. And I also understand that by having these dark tints, I don't just go with the light. If you're gonna do it, go all the way. Right. So you can't see in my car, right? So, but I understand that, hey, if I get pulled over, the tints could be a reason for me to get pulled over. Now I'm going to have a dealing with a police officer, and just off the strength of me having these tints alone could cause some issues. But I accept that. I'm not going to not get my cars tinted because of that. So kind of like what Smitty's saying, like, hey, just because I'm wearing, sweats I should not be allowed to wear sweats and be comfortable. And again, same rules apply. But I understand that, hey, whether it's fair or not, that this is what could come from it. Right. And how am I going to navigate through if that does come?
Because I'm not about to get pulled over or whatever with like a hoodie on or anything of that nature. And then when the police pull me over and I'm like, what the fuck you pulled me over for? You know, like I'm not coming with that type of energy or whatever. So like I think I can still come down with the same demeanor that you have. Like I can still work with you and shock you with my demeanor. Like, oh, well shit, all motherfuckers with hoodies don't necessarily behave in this way, or they're this type of guy or whatever. But it's like, well, you're like, hey nigga, change your closet so that way you have better police interactions. And I'm like, man,
I get that. But
if it's a problem, that's all I'm saying. If it's a problem that you're having, if you're not having the problem because your communication is able to fix it for you, then there's no reason to do that. But some people out here are acting like they can't go anywhere without police bothering them and arresting them for nothing. So they say, literally.
Yeah, well, that's not my thing. So I understand where you're coming from.
What was you saying, Kels?
No, but that's the thing here. It's just those barriers of perception that we're dealing with, especially when you deal with outside forces and people that don't deal with the type of environment that most of us would deal with on day to day itself here. So it still comes back to the individual. Do I want to deal with the perception of these people? Because some people are gonna go with perception and they're gonna haul off and be whatever crazy or have whatever thoughts that they have about it. And some people, just like me, we're gonna see right through that and we're gonna say something. And honestly, the world would be a better place if people would just say hi and just get people to speak itself here, so we can come to some sort of understanding itself here. Because like many say, everybody wear a hoodie and a criminal itself here. But it's the perceptions that tailor our responses.
Absolutely. And that's just the unfortunate reality. Like all of y'all are older than me, so y'all are at least somewhat familiar with the reality of in the 90s, if you had a beeper, you was a drug dealer. Bro, so you come over and you like really like this girl, you can't even date her because your beeper went off in front of mama. Yeah. So I'm just saying this ain't nothing new when we talk about perception. I think
the perception is more so in the ideal of the way that you carry yourself than what you have on. Maybe it could be this. If this is your argument, like, well, I get pulled over all the time, but it's like, how in the fuck does that officer know that you just got a hoodie on instead of a sweatshirt? You know what I mean?
Hold on. The hoodie is a component. The other component is, like he said, the dark tint, the big old truck with the 22-inch rims, the loudspeakers, boom, boom in the back. It's a cultural thing that we're talking about. Yeah, so the hoodie is a component because, like you said, the character and the way you present yourself does affect your perception, but they're not going to get to that before they get to what they see.
Because it's like we're having a conversation about Charleston White. What does Charleston White have on in every video that he's in?
I mean, but you're
a hoodie.
You're assuming that people don't write him off in the same way when they see him.
Yeah, well, what he did as opposed to that was he created a relationship with the people who he said he had an issue with. And that's how he fixed his issue. I think that plays a major role.
Explain that in terms. What does that mean for us? What like you saying, creating a relationship with the police?
Yeah, like he says, like, I'll tell on you. He literally has gone through the people that he has connections with. Like, I'm cool with this police department. I'm cool with this police department. I'm cool with these other people. And it's like, well, he created a whole nother relationship to where other black people, because of the snitching codes that we talked about earlier, he ain't worried about any of that. Ain't no black person worried about, ain't no dude in his jurisdiction worried about him wearing a hoodie, because it's like, well, he already got
they know who
residents with us.
Bro, that's profound. You just challenged me on another level with that. I need to go and get to know my local police departments. Why don't we do that?
There you go.
You're right. We would not have as much of an issue when you're known in the community by that department typically, because the average street guy ain't doing that.
Yeah.
That's a great point. I like that. But shoot, man, we had a great show. I'm gonna go ahead and close it out with that. Unless anybody else had a thought, I'm gonna just go around and let y'all give your final thoughts, put out your links and all that, where people can find you. Let's start with you, Brother Hef.
Well, thank you. I really appreciate the invite and the great conversations. We were having a great time building. I appreciate the time with the other two brothers. I'm going to plug in my social media. It's all under the same name, Double A Hef, as you can see it on the screen. That's for IG. That's for TikTok. That's for YouTube. That's for Facebook. That's across the board. I keep it simple. And yeah, definitely check out my channel. I would love to come back on this channel and chop it up with your brothers. Like I said, this is great, and we need to be having more discussions like this. Because we didn't agree on everything. And we're not supposed to. You don't have to. But I think that a lot of our people, they think that. And that's why they're so quick to look at a Charleston White and say, oh, he's bucking the trend. We got to, get rid of him. Oh, Steve Harvey was with Donald Trump. Got to get rid of him. As opposed to saying, hey, well, situations are more nuanced than what it may initially appear to be.
Amen to that, my guy. And I appreciate you coming on here again. And as you said, we have linked your YouTube channel in the chat already. You are a family member here at the Church of Heathens. You are welcome back at any time. And let me know when you want us on your show too, bro.
Thank you, brother.
And I'm sure Smitty, and I don't know what Kel's about, but yeah, I'm gonna come through for sure. Just let me know when.
No doubt. Hey, bro, if you ever want me on a panel or anything of that nature, bro, I'll send you my links and things of that nature.
For sure, I would definitely like that. Like I said, the more of us chopping it up, the better.
Hey, before you end this, let's before you end all of the call, Driscoll, let's go into the private chat and then share links amongst one another so that way we can all link back up. But go ahead.
Yep. All right, brother, we're gonna get you out here, man. Thank you again.
All right.
No. God damn it.
I got it, bro. I got it. Kel, you up next, man. Final thoughts. Let the people know where to find you, and you good to go.
So mainly I'm on Facebook under Kel Hawks. Bro, my other links itself here, because my Twitter handle is crazy. The Ascent 88 itself here, if you can find it. If not, just let me know. It's better hit me up on Facebook or whatnot, because all of my other social medias ain't popping like that. Man, I'm about to do a whole reimagine invention of the wheel itself here, because I got a tech business that's coming out itself here. So basically Facebook at Kel Hawks itself here. Any other links, you hit me up there to find out what they are.
Say less. We appreciate you coming on as well, man. And as you know, you already know you family. You welcome anytime to anything I got going on, man. I appreciate you taking the time out to rock with us.
All right, welcome.
Hey, hang out in the back chat, man.
All right.
And Smitty, you already know what to do.
Yo, King Smitty in here. I got a YouTube channel getting ready to pop off here pretty soon called The Show About Nothing. Be sure to stay tuned into that. What I'm going to do on there is a little bit different than the panel thing that we got going on here. I'm going to more so do reactionary things, but if y'all want to check me out, more than likely on Friday, I'll share it because it should be done before Friday. So I appreciate you having me on, Phil, and I appreciate everybody who was involved in tonight's conversation.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. We appreciate you as well as usual. And y'all know Smitty is family over here in the Church of Heathens. So he will be back amongst the heathens, get it in, attacking the culture, helping us break curses in the future. So until then, I'll let you, my brothers, hang out in the back chat for me. And last but not least, it is your boy Driscoll. I am always honored to have the opportunity to have these conversations, man, and really share my thoughts My brain just goes a million miles a minute all the time. So I need this. This is a form of therapy for me. But also this is an opportunity for myself and all of us to grow. They say iron sharpens iron in the good book that we celebrate over here and find as the center foundation of our faith. So I hope that everybody was able to take something from this conversation to make them better and share the information with your communities. It ain't nothing for us to just do this amongst each other. Take these ideas. We don't own them. Every ounce of wisdom I get, I believe, comes from the Father. So be the light in the dark place where you can, even if you're not the one that want to get a YouTube channel. Talk about it in your neighborhood. Talk about it in your workplace. Talk about it amongst your family. Whatever avenue God gives you, utilize your voice to create a better community around you, amongst your tribe even. All right. So again, until next time, we thank you all for joining us here at the Church of Heathens. I will pray you out. Heavenly Father, thank you for each and every voice and eye that tuned in today, Lord. We pray that what we spoke today will leave some kind of lasting impact on them, will motivate them to get out here and invigorate the communities around them, Father. We thank you for this growing audience. We thank you for their personal lives. We pray that your grace will fill their hearts right now as we speak. We pray that you will have a real moment with them. Show yourself real in a way that they will understand and create major impact in their lives to give them a blessed rest of their days. In Jesus' name, we pray for an amazing year for each and every one of you. And we thank you for coming out. We will be back this Friday with part 2 of the morality of the child support system with an even bigger panel than we had last time. So you don't want to miss that. All right. Until then, all my heathens, grace to you and God bless.
If you can only look beyond the surface and see the purpose. Look beyond the surface. I never told the world that I was perfect, but God is working. Come on. They don't understand the life I live. They don't understand the life I live. I said I'm not perfect. They don't understand the life I live. They don't understand the life I live. Understand that God's working. They don't understand the life I live. They don't understand the life I live. Still working. They don't understand the life I live. They don't understand the life I live. They say old habits die hard, mine looking immortal. This Mortal Kombat, Reaper standing center the portal. As I'm fighting for my life, demons ain't being cordial. Every leap of faith I make, it's like I trip on a hurdle. I feel the devil so close that he inhaling my air, and the essence of his presence is oppression and fear. Once you push that fear aside, it should make you aware. The distraction is to stop you, cause your miracle's near. No need to push my life back if my doom wasn't reached. The blood of Jesus, what he chooses to feed. I feed some truth to that leech. Taste this victory and fill up your cup. Watch the inheritance just fill me back up. I'm never quitting my assignment. Nah, bloodsucker, ain't quitting my assignment. No, no.